Representative Hayes, you're wearing a mourning band. Maybe you could tell us what that's about.
I'd be happy to. Last Sunday, the night before the legislative session began, there was an absolutely tragic occurrence up in Pierce County. We lost Deputy Dan McCartney in the line of duty. He was out there serving his community, trying to take some robbery suspects into custody, and was killed in the line of duty. So law enforcement officers wear mourning bands like this across their badges anytime we lose a deputy officer, trooper, or law enforcement officer in the line of duty, just to show respect to that officer until he's put to rest. And I just want to send out the message to my community that to please hold Deputy McCartney's wife and children, that whole Pierce County community, in your thoughts and prayers, because they are hurting right now from the loss of this fine man.
Very difficult to start a legislative session with that happening just a few hours previous, but we do have a 60-day session, and it's scheduled to end on March 8th. Let's talk about some of the top issues that you see going forward in this session.
Certainly. Definitely the two issues that are left over from last year that will still continue to be at the top of most people's list as this session gets going is the Hirst decision and a fix to the Hirst bill, and of course the capital budget. The capital budget is the public money that goes out into our community to create infrastructure, work on infrastructure projects across the state, build public buildings, and do maintenance on public buildings and other local museums and such. And without that budget in place, it's kind of a downer on the jobs for the infrastructure community, and even for some of the public sector jobs like in parks. So the capital budget really is a crucial budget. But here on the other side of this coin, we have the Hirst fix that we need to get through. And here a few years ago, the Supreme Court created the Hirst ruling that really clamped down on rural development of private properties. And we need to address this issue because folks out there, private property owners, are not able to use the properties to their pleasure because they can't get access to water. And this is a crucial issue that we absolutely need to get fixed. Washington State cannot put ourselves in the position of ceding our constitutional duty and our water rights to third parties. And that's what we're being asked to do to address this. But what we really need to do is just go back to where we were before the Hirst ruling, give people access to the water that they need so they can develop their properties, build their homes, build their retirement homes. Because folks in the urban areas, and of course government, can draw water out of those very same sources, those very same aquifers that they're telling rural folks that they cannot. So we need to fix this issue, give people the rights to their property back. Both of these are very critical issues. I'm going to support a capital budget, and we are going to have a capital budget out sometime during this session, but it needs to come with a fix to that Hirst issue.
Another issue that seems to be gaining more attention this year is the opioid drug crisis. Now, you've sponsored legislation that would address some of those issues with opioid drugs and addiction. Tell us about that bill.
Right. So I introduced House Bill 2287. And this is to assist the counties out there that have partnerships between law enforcement agencies and human services folks that go out and engage the folks out in our communities that are suffering from addiction and mental health. Snohomish County has a facility in place ready to go with 44 beds available for temporary housing for the folks that are suffering addiction, particularly opioid addiction and mental health, that they can put folks into these temporary beds, stabilize them, get them hooked up with their identity cards, get them hooked up with health care insurance, get them stabilized so they can get into treatment, finish their treatment, and get them out of the setting where they're just a revolving door through the jails, through the hospitals. We're talking about the chronic utilizers of our criminal justice system and our hospitals. And the best thing about this bill, the pilot program as it goes forward, is that it has metrics to measure those things specifically, to measure the reduction in recidivism, to measure how many people are connected with treatment, and are successful with treatment, because without those metrics in place, we're not going to be able to demonstrate that this truly is the best way to engage the community that are involved in addiction and mental health issues. We need to take a different look at how we provide services for these folks and how law enforcement engages these folks out in our communities. Because of that revolving door that law enforcement has had, the way law enforcement has engaged these folks before, we just arrest them, they get out of jail, get out of the hospital, we re-arrest them again, and it's not addressing their addiction, it's not addressing their mental health, it's not stabilizing their lives. Snohomish County has got the best plan. They have the facility ready to go, and we need to pass this pilot project and get the funding from the legislature to make that state investment to demonstrate that this is a good model for the entire state.
Lots of issues and work remain to be done in 60 days. What about citizen input?
I'm always available for input. You can email me. There's also the legislative hotline that you see at the bottom of the screen. Please give us a call, shoot us an email, call my desk. I have a new legislative assistant this year, Kendra Harris, just started this week, and I want to say goodbye to my former legislative assistant, Mitchell Chitwood. He took his dream job and moved on, and he's going to do well in his life. I'm really proud of that young man, but I do welcome Kendra, and I look forward to my constituents getting acquainted with her as well.